What do you do if you didn't make the height and weight standards for your profession? In this video, we're going to be going over the guidance and advice that the individual needs along with what their supervisors need. The first thing that I want to point out that needs to happen within the first few hours of being notified that you failed to make the height and weight standards for a profession that you have is you need to make sure that you have a conversation with somebody that you trust, somebody whose judgment that you value, somebody that you consider a mentor, and ensure the words help come out of your mouth. Being able to get somebody who's going to be on your side and be cool and level-headed throughout this whole process as it starts and begins and you identify and work through the problems can really be beneficial to you and affect how all of this ultimately ends. The next thing that I want you to realize is that everybody wants to go through this process of blaming something. Whether it's be defensive or you're finding excuses, it doesn't matter. There's this need to blame the tape, the profession, the system, the people who did it, blaming yourself. All that is ultimately a very wasteful thing to go do. If you need to, go take some time, step off to the corner, address those feelings and acknowledge them, and then be able to move on from them. The sooner that you're able to do that, the sooner that you'll actually start to create the forward momentum to help you get back within the standards for the profession that you have, and this threat that is now against the career that you've worked so hard for is eliminated. The next thing that you can expect to happen, there's going to be a conversation that you're going to be having with your boss. They expect for you to be able to have some type of plan of action for you to get back within the standards for your profession that you have. There's three things that we generally recommend that are inside this plan of action whenever you go to sit down and talk with your boss. The first is some type of mechanism for how you're going to take back control of the time that you have throughout your day. One of the most common things that lead people to being outside of the standards, the height and weight standards for the profession, is the external stresses preventing them from being able to have the time to be able to invest in their own physical health. Whenever you're able to sit down and show that there is some way that you're going to take back some time throughout your day so that way you have the ability to invest in your health, this goes a long way in showing the commander that you have a plan that you can implement and work. The recommendation that we give to people in order to show them how to do that is what we refer to as bedtime alarms. If you have an alarm on your phone for whenever it's time for you to wake up and start your day, it can be very beneficial to you to go ahead and have an alarm on your phone for whenever it's time for you to put the phone down, stop doom scrolling, and put your head on a pillow and go to sleep. And make sure that you have 7+ hours of time in between that. That way you're able to be fully rested, fully recovered, and fully prepared for the next day as you move into it. This goes a long way in helping you deal and handle with all the stress. Along with that, whenever you're making these lifestyle changes to get you back within the standards, you can expect for an increased amount of stress to start occur because you are making these changes. The second thing that we like to recommend that's in that plan of action is some type of new stress relief activity that you're going to be implementing to help you be able to decompress your mind and be able to focus more. This is generally recommended that some type of habit or hobby that you want the future you to be able to have inside of their life. If you don't have a identified stress relief mechanism that you can regularly go to and be able to utilize to help you recenter and decompress your mind and deal with all the stress that's not only caused you to get in this situation, but is also building up because you're having to make these changes inside your life, the likelihood of any type of plan that you've put together succeeding drastically decreases. So remember, all you're looking for is what's a habit or hobby that you want the future you to have and start implementing. And for a leadership team, whenever they come up to you and they tell you that I want to start being able to do this in my future, is there small things that you can start doing to support that, to make sure that's something that they have the ability to implement? The third thing that we want to see in the plan of action, and this is one of the most important things that supervisors need to actually look over and make sure they have a good grasp on, is the support network. Being able to have people that you can rely on, that you can turn to whenever you have the hard days that you want to quit, that you don't want to be doing this anymore, that can really go a long way. That can be the pillars that push you forward in being able to actually accomplish this goal or plan. The note that I want to give you whenever you start looking at this is ensure that your support network is not made up of people who are actually dependent upon you for your basic needs. Generally, spouses are not the greatest people to have down on top of your support work. Your children or your people who live in the same household as you are not the best people to have down there because they're actually very dependent upon you being able to do this. For command teams, if you have to reach outside and tap some type of senior leadership in order to have somebody there to be a guide to assist them through this, there's nothing wrong with that. But making sure that you are satisfied as that individual's leader, that the support network that is going to be around them is going to be there to support them and not be dependent upon their success in doing that. That can also go a long way in ensuring that the plan is successful. The one thing that we haven't covered in all of this that we're going to move on to next is the actual nutritional and exercise guidance that you need to start looking for as you're trying to make these changes. The simple rule that I like to give people as they start doing this is study one and change one. Now we're going to break this all down so that way you can understand it. Fact, in order for you to lose weight, you have to be in a caloric deficit. There's no way around this. This is simply how to do that. Whenever we say that you have to be in a caloric deficit, what that means is that you have to eat less food than what your body is expending as energy. So whenever we do study one and change one, what we're going to be doing, and this can work in either direction, is that we're going to spend 2 weeks studying the dietary habits that we have, what we're eating, when we're eating, how much we're eating, all of these things, taking time to really examine them and see what is there. But during that time, we're going to have our exercise routine that we've implemented, we've started to do, and we're going to go ahead and change it. So we're studying our calorie input and we're going to start changing our calorie output. Make sure that you have some way that you're measuring the intensity and the step count or the time that you're utilizing whenever you're going through your exercise program. Because what we want to do is we want to slightly increase the amount of intensity that we have or the amount of exertion inside of our exercise program. It's very important that over the next 2 to 3 weeks that we maintain our same eating habits, so we're eating the same amount every day on the same routine, but those measurables that we've placed inside our exercise program, the ones that we slightly increase, we're also being able to keep those the same. And we're giving our body 2 to 4 weeks to actually adjust to our new food intake and our new calorie output. After we've given our body time to adjust to it, now we're going to flip it and we're going to study the other one and change the other one as well. So earlier we studied our calorie intake or what we're eating. Now we're going to look to slightly decrease that in some way, whether it's being serving sizes or some type of diet trend implementation. It doesn't matter. We're going to find some way to slightly eat a little bit less. But while we're doing that, we're going to maintain those same exercise measurables that we had earlier. Make sure that we're hitting those same marks of intensity inside of our training program. What this has done is we've now put ourselves in a good controlled calorie deficit. One that if you are an individual who has to plan and prepare for high intensity situations, you've not put yourself in a situation to where you're poorly suited to deal with the stress, the high intensity stress that may occur in these situations. You haven't crashed diet. Your inability to handle your stress isn't going to be able to affect your decision making. You're still going to be able to perform at optimal levels inside of those high intensity scenarios because you didn't crash and put your body into a survival mode before you actually reach there. So remember, study one, change one. So we're going to study our input, our calorie input. We're going to slightly increase and then maintain our calorie output. And then we'll change our calorie input, slightly decrease while maintaining and keeping that exercise output the same, and then we'll continue walking that through. What this does over the course of time is this gets you back into the standards for your profession that you have, and whenever you're there, it makes it a whole lot easier for you to be able to keep that. In the military especially, they actually give you a pretty good bit of time in order for you to get within the height and weight standards for your profession that you need to have. The reason they do that is because they want you to actually fix this problem and fix it so that it stays fixed. If somebody goes through a height and weight process and they come up 6% over and they go tell the commander, I'm going to be able to fix this in a month, and they show up a month later and they've actually found some way to drop 6% body fat, the odds are really stacked against them that they're going to be able to keep that off. There's a very good chance that at least the majority of that 6% will actually come back onto their body because they didn't really change any of the lifestyle habits. They didn't change any of the things that caused them to be in that excess weight gain. They didn't fix any of that. They just found a way to crash diet and be able to take a shortcut to get to the goal that they want. Whenever you have a good plan of action that you can implement and is supported by your leadership, and you take the time to go through correct exercise and nutritional guidance plans, and you study one and change one and gradually work them down, what you end up with is you've truly changed the person who failed height and weight, and now you're a person that no longer has to be concerned with ever coming close to that again because you found a way to control the stress, to get back within the standards and be able to maintain that for the future of your career or profession. My name is Benjamin Morris. I'm a tactical strength and conditioning facilitator, a military master fitness trainer, and a master resilience instructor. I'm a former Army drill sergeant, preceding my name anywhere I go is the title Pacific Best Warrior. I thank you very much for your time, and out.